Here at the Old Warlock, from time to time, due to our internet fame, we make friends. We meet new people. And that's always exciting because a lot of our new friends and a lot of the people that we meet doing this, being celebrities, want us to take a look at their cool stuff that they make. And so
which is fun.
It's really fun because you guys are creative, turns out, and you come up with really cool and interesting things.
And we're doing this because the visitors that we have are creative and they want to see creative stuff. So.
Exactly. So what we want to do from time to time is share some of the cool stuff we receive with you all in the hopes that it will either inspire you to create something or just to spread the word about cool stuff that we like. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. Isn't that right, Jim?
That is exactly what we're going to be doing today.
Before we do that, we have to play our fun little tagline. Wow, wasn't that tagline pretty cool? I thought so. Today, we're talking about an entire supplement in the sky.
Yes. Called the Wandering Tavern.
A floating TTRPG setting.
The Wandering Tavern is something that was created, it's a system agnostic tabletop role-playing game setting that is set in the sky. And it's actually really, really cool. Now, I've got something that's quasi-similar to this in my campaign. There is a place that's long been known as the City of Clouds, and it appears every now and then, and if you're in the right place at the right time, you can, you've never been there. If you get there at the right place in the right time, you can actually go to the City of Clouds for a limited amount of time, and there are all kinds of adventures you can have there, but you have to be back out by a certain point. It's kind of, it's kind of a Brigadoon-esque thing.
You should see the binders that he has for his world, where everything is organized. It's insane. And sometimes he says stuff on the channel. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I've seen that before. And then other times he'll say something, oh yeah, there's an entire continent over here. I'm like, what? Huh?
But we digress. But the Wandering Tavern, and I'm going to have to do a lot of reading in this video. I wanted to present the Wandering Tavern to you because not only is it really in depth in terms of the amount of work that was put into the creation of this setting, but it's really cool. And I'll say from the outset that I would not pick this up and drop it into my campaign lock, stock, and barrel. Not because it isn't good, but I would have to alter quite a bit of it to fit into the theming and the feel of my campaign. Right. But as a basis for creating a really interesting place for your characters to go and visit, you're going to have a hard time going wrong if you use the Wandering Tavern. But let me start off by reading you a little bit of the background feel for the tavern. And I like the way that they've done this, because they actually have a person who has gone to the Wandering Tavern, or they've wanted to find the Wandering Tavern their entire lives. And so there's a narrator that gives you some insight into the Wandering Tavern all the way through this document.
Indeed.
But let me start this just to kind of set the tone for what I'm going to be discussing. And I'm not going to be discussing the mechanics of how it works. I'm not going to be discussing the individual character statistics, that kind of thing. What I really want to do is just give you an idea of the depth of information that is available through the Wandering Tavern, and hopefully get you guys to take a closer look at it and see if it's something you might be interested in purchasing and putting into your campaign. But let me just jump in here with this first narrative. This is like page 2. There's a character by the name of Amelia, and Amelia is a journalist of the Traveling Scribes, which is
pretty cool.
Cool.
Like it.
She writes, I saw it once, the Wandering Tavern. I was only a child, standing on a hilltop with my mother watching the turbulent skies. I glimpsed it for just a moment, far out in the distance, shrouded in clouds, colossal, magnificent. Then, just as mysteriously as it appeared, it faded back into the clouds. For years I dreamt of that magnificent metallic beast, desperate for a taste of its secrets. How I wish it would be me to share its tale with the world. When I was old enough, I hunted it, chasing the swirling rumors of its travels like a dinghy down a whitewater rapid. It never stopped, never landed, and never declared a heading. No one seemed to travel to the Wandering Tavern. You simply stumbled upon it out in the vast skies and didn't let the opportunity slip you by. So really, this is kind of, it's got that same, like I said, it's got that same kind of almost a Brigadoon vibe for me, and it's not quite the same. It doesn't just appear once a year like things do in my campaign. This is traveling all the time. There is no like home berth for the Wandering Tavern, and it has been traveling about in the skies for 350 years, according to the lore of the setting itself. One of the reasons why I would not have it directly in my campaign is that there are a lot of mechanics involved with this, and I'm talking mechanical objects involved with this. So
it's very steampunk.
It's got almost a steampunk vibe to it.
Not quite, but there's hints of it.
There's hints of it in there. And that would not fit into my campaign. But the Wandering Tavern itself, as a floating magical location, complete with its own culture, with its own hierarchy of beings, with its own unique characteristics, that would fit into my campaign perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
But let's go take a look a little bit further into the Wandering Tavern so I can give you, like I said, a little bit more of an idea of what it's all about. Again, this is touted by Homey and the Dude as being system agnostic. It does have some 5e stats on it, but really after reading through this, any DM or GM worth their salt can easily integrate this into their campaign. But we're not going to go into all of the like I said, the mechanics of the running of this thing. We are just going to jump straight into the background. So the first, and again, let me give you an idea of the expanse of this. This is 206 pages in this thing.
Yeah.
Complete with a lot of really nice artwork.
Yeah. Very cool artwork.
And as you go through it, you have kind of these little snippets of guide from Amelia, who's talking about her experiences with finding the place. But let's jump to the origin story. I'm going to read you just a little bit of this to give you, again, some feeling of what the place is like. The origin story. The legends of the Wandering Tavern began with a young gnome named Salius. Abandoned by his family only days after his 10th birthday, Salius traveled the perilous skies on a tiny one-person Zephyr called the Wanderer. The Zephyr being one of these machines that you can fly around, that gnomes can fly around in. Long story short, he was taken prisoner. He didn't have a gold piece to his name or a silver piece to his name, but he was captured by some pirates who had another sky vehicle. He was captured by some pirates. They were going to hold him for ransom. He didn't have a ransom to pay, but he'd been kind of preparing himself for some kind of an eventuality like this his entire life. Long story short, he managed to, through some trickery, overcome the pirates, and he took over this pirate ship, if you will. And then he went on to create the Wandering Tavern by gathering together a lot of different machines and putting them and combining them together to make a bigger and bigger and bigger location. They give the timeline of the Wandering Tavern. It extends over about 350 years. And it's not like they go year by year, but they give rough ideas of what took place in specific important years. But overall, it gives you an idea of the evolution of the Wandering Tavern and the cultural evolution, the evolution of the people who live there, the evolution of the technology that's there. And the depth that they go into on this is really impressive. There is also a section on celebrations and holidays in the Wandering Tavern, which is great. There is, for instance, there is the holiday of the Creation. The Creation is an annual holiday celebrating the founder of the Wandering Tavern on the anniversary of its creation. There is something called the Day of Spirits, and this ties into something which is really cool. I'm going to read this. Ever since the one-year anniversary of the Great Vanishing. Now, I have to backtrack a little bit in the book here. At one point, there was a mafia that came and took over the Wandering Tavern. And what they did was they brought their militia in and forced themselves to be in the positions of power on the Wandering Tavern itself. One of the other things that they endeavored to do was build a huge vault for themselves in the Wandering Tavern, and they employed 150 of the engineers of the Wandering Tavern on that project. After it was done, they killed them all to keep it a secret and threw their bodies over the side of the Wandering Tavern.
That's cool.
But that's known as the Great Vanishing. Now, here's the thing. There are two things that happened that the Mafia did not expect. There was an ancient artifact called the Stone of Remembrance on board the Wandering Tavern. Exactly 1 year later, a great darkness coated the Wandering Tavern that night and every night since. Dark spirits bound to the Stone of Remembrance and shrouded in shadows walk the halls of the Zephyr, whispering secrets to all they encounter. In those first few long nights, patrons, staff, and militia of the Wandering Tavern, this is back right after they killed all the engineers, they started going mad, attacking friends, smashing furniture, and causing chaos throughout the machine. This mania left the tavern's occupants frantically coming up with ways to defend themselves. Eventually, they ended up coming up with these charms that everybody has to wear whenever they're either visitors, when they come in to visit, they have to purchase one of these charms or they are given a charm. And this keeps these spirits away from them. But the spirits play a major role in the Wandering Tavern. Let me get back to the holidays. There is a Day of Spirits. Ever since the 1 year anniversary of the Great Vanishing, a mass of spirits plague the Wandering Tavern each night. The Day of Spirits is the one day a year that these spirits remain visible during the day as well as the night. It falls on the anniversary of the Engineers' Massacre when the Stone of Remembrance gains a burst of power from the overwhelming memories of the spirits that are bound to it. Initially, the residents of the Wandering Tavern found this anomaly terrifying, but as time passed, it became a celebration of sorts. Each year, the lanterns that light the tavern at night are kept burning throughout the day. Some people choose to add sweet incense to the lanterns, believing that it may help to keep the spirits calm. So not only do you have this cool floating thing, you have a mafia that's involved. You also have these spirits of these dead engineers that were killed X number of years ago. You have those that have to be contended with every night. So the depth of this setting gets better and better the more you read.
There's a timeline. There's a history.
Yeah, there's a history and there's an evolution in it that I really, really enjoy. Then I'm not going to get into all the holidays because there are several others. Then they have locations. They have key locations, and which also involve plot hooks. So you've got the lower levels. You've got maps of the lower levels. You have the engineering quarters in the lower levels.
The maps they've put together are cool.
They're pretty nice.
For this.
They're really nice. And then, for instance, in the engineer, I'll look at I'll tell you about the engineering quarters section here. Digital maps there on layer 13. There's a description of the engineering quarters. There is the lore of the engineering quarters. And then it lists the residents, the people you're most likely to find there. And it's not like there are just 2 or 3 of these. There are many, many of these different locations. Really, really in-depth stuff. But then they also have, on some of the locations, and I will look really quickly at the cotton quarters, which is the lowest quality. It's got lowest quality on here.
Yeah.
This is an area that has lore. It has residents. Let me read just a little bit of the lore. This area is one of the oldest in the Wandering Tavern. It was originally used as the tavern's storage hold, but when the main storage hold was built, it was repurposed as a place to keep excess linens, sheets, and other fabrics. However, over the years, the number of staff who needed housing increased, and there weren't enough rooms to go around. Rent was raised, and the poorest residents had to find somewhere new to live. A few creatures started to camp out in this old storage area among the sheets. The number of residents grew until someone had the idea to put in curtain rails and use the old fabric for some semblance of privacy. Now it's densely populated and bitterly referred to as the cotton quarters. But it lists some of the residents that are there, but it also has, in this case, plot hooks that you can play into this area, or you can use in this area to play into. So here's one of the plot hooks. There's knockoff spirit wards. Since the second floor of the Hideaway Hotel, another location in here, is closed for expansion, a number of poorer visitors make the mistake of finding a place to sleep within the cotton quarters. If they don't already possess a spirit ward, which is the thing that protects you from the wandering spirit engineers, some of the inhabitants may try to sell the players their special spirit wards. These are cheap knockoffs and do nothing to ward players' creatures from the spirits that live on the Wandering Tavern. So it says that, this may lead the characters to explore the engine room, investigate spirits of the old engineering team, and it may lead to them being attacked by spirits while in the cotton quarters. So they give you some ideas for things that you can throw at your players if they end up finding their way into this laundry area, essentially, in the Wandering Tavern.
Which is nice because it's so big the setting is so large that you might need a little nudge. It would be really difficult to memorize the whole thing and understand everything that's going on. I mean, it's definitely possible, but it would take a lot of effort. And if you just get this and you want to play it the next time you have a session, it's really easy to just kind of jump right in.
Yeah, you could focus down onto this particular part of the Wandering Tavern because again, it is so huge.
Yeah,
it's just a way to make the use of the entire module much easier. But yeah, Hellman main engineering floor, repairs lower engineering floor, and it's got accompanying maps going with all of this. Then there are the living quarters of individuals. But we'll flip on past that and just let me just say that there are a lot of different locations within the Wandering Tavern. There's some individual places. I mentioned the one hotel. There's also, for instance, the Hammer and Nail Forge, which is a blacksmith shop. There are living quarters that are considered, they're different economic levels. So you have the platinum, gold, silver living quarters. Then you move into things like gaming halls, which they have, and that plays a big role in some of what's happening here because people can keep gaming as in come on 7, yeah, because a lot of what takes place on this is people come there to gamble, people come there to engage in black market activities, and then the mafia ends up taking a cut of all of this as it goes through. Let me flip past here. There's the Hideaway Hotel, which I think is really cool. Within NPCs within the Hideaway Hotel, you will always find Penelope 1 and her clones. There are a bunch of mechanical, almost robots, if you will, that do a lot of the work, but they're sentient robots that do a lot of the work in the Wandering Tavern.
And there are descriptions for all the NPCs mentioned as well.
You'll always find Penelope and her clones commanding a small group of cleaners. Additionally, the head chef, Imaj Ravilo, is present with the loyal kitchen staff, the bellboy, Mordek Mauritius, and a gaggle of patrons. But then you end up getting into, and I'm going to skip past page after page of different locations here.
We'd be here for a long time if we went through all of them.
Yeah, and I mean this literally page after page.
Yeah.
Then we get into some of the tavern dwellers and some additional plot hooks. So this looks more at specific NPCs. So you have Captain Emmanuel Emerson. This is an elf that is the actual captain of the Wandering Tavern. Gives a lot of information about him. You've got Leandro Schmitty, who is the first mate. He's a dwarf. Coco Cottontail is the head engineer. And Coco is what they call rabbitkin. So it's kind of like a creature that is... it's almost like, you have the Dragonborn in later editions of Dungeons and Dragons. It's kind of the same thing. It's a creature with, it's a sentient creature, a human-like sentient creature. Then they have Asterion Ironrot, who is the weapons master of the Wandering Tavern. But these lists of different people, again, page after page after page of them. So you never really are at a loss for, well, gosh, I need somebody for them to encounter. Oh, wait, here it is. It's right here. I can choose Penelope Clone or Jane Murphy, the Dockmaster.
And they have plot hooks worked into each one of these characters. So there's a description of who they are, but also how you can use them in creating a story, if you want to.
Right, some sort of a scenario. But pardon me for just a second here, because I'm still going through all of the different characters. Okay, then they go in and they describe what's known as the Claw Mafia. And the Claw Mafia is there to essentially take your money. And they do keep the place running. And there's a Rakshasa who is the head of the Claw Mafia.
We love a good Rakshasa.
We do. And Leon Claw is the Rakshasa who is the head of the Claw Mafia. But they play a major role in all of the events that take place in the Wandering Tavern. Almost there. Hang on just a second. Then they have a whole section in here called Downtime, and they provide you with a bunch of games that you can have your players play. So there is a game called 50s. There is a game called Fool's Paradise. And these are all easily turned into things where, you end up betting. This is how you make your money. These are the things that you play in the gaming dens. There are a number of pages of those. Then They go even further with some cool stuff here. They have a section called Wandering Tavern Recipes. And these are real-world recipes that you can create to serve to your players.
That's cool.
When they're playing in the Wandering Tavern.
I like it.
In the Wandering Tavern setting. They have, and this isn't like 3 things. This is, a whole menu full of different foods. You can do fried pickles, which are found in the back bar. There is back bar dunking sauce. The fried pickles, 10 large dill pickles, 125 grams of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon chili powder or smoked paprika, 2 large eggs, 275 grams of panko breadcrumbs. You fry those bad Larrys up, and then you make some back bar dunking sauce, which is essentially mayonnaise and ketchup. And you have your food from the back bar, which I think is really cool.
I think it's a great idea.
Bar Top Ramen Snack Mix, also available at the back bar. Buccaneer Bites, those are available at the back bar. Spicy Bacon Cheesers, now those are found at the Kualani. No, sorry. Location served, the Flying Rum Barrel. The person who provided the recipe was Kualani Hotua, who is the owner of the Flying Rum Barrel. Then we have shawarma. We've got some shawarma that is also available at the Flying Rum Barrel. This list goes on for a while as well.
Wow, they have a sushi recipe in here? This is crazy.
They have the Rum Barrel Sundae, which I'm going to have to try. This is available at the Flying Rum Barrel, and it is a drunken rum punch sundae with pineapple salsa, served in a hollow coconut.
What a nice touch.
So anyway, this is a touch that you don't often see in these kinds of things, but I can really see an entire set of adventures, just an entire campaign taking place strictly here, and then being able to serve food, for it and things like that would make it just that little bit more immersive. I really think this is cool.
Oh yeah, it's neat stuff.
I really also want to try the whacked potatoes. Those are available at the Scarlet Heart Lounge.
Yeah.
Anyway, that list goes on for several pages. Then we get to the illegal trades that you can come across in the Wandering Tavern. There are substances such as pixie dust, and pixie dust is actually not as light and fluffy as it sounds. But these are all the illegal drugs that you can get a hold of. Well, quasi-illegal drugs that you can get a hold of in the Wandering Tavern. They have several pages of those, or at least a few pages of those. But some of the other illegal goods are things. There's one thing called chalky eggs. A chalky egg is a rounded chocolatey treat with a hidden surprise in the center. This surprise could be anything from a small wooden toy to a badly written dad joke.
Who knows a few of those?
Although this sweet treat was a favorite of many, it has been banned across the skies after the son of a rich merchant choked to death while consuming one. Despite the dangerous choking hazard inside, many creatures will pay good coin for a chalky egg. And a group of smugglers have built their fortune making and selling these treats on the black market. This is really creative stuff.
I like it.
Really fun. Then you get into the history of the spirits, and there's some great artwork involved in this. Spirits, like the ones of the dead engineers, may impact players in a number of ways, including anything from being a deadly threat to becoming an unlikely ally with valuable information about the tavern. The information about the spirits, why they exist, and what they do and how they act continues on here. I'm not going to read all through this because it goes on for quite a few pages. We've got a thunderstorm happening here as we film.
It's thematic.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes. It has tables for how you encounter the spirits, what the spirits are going to be like, what kind of things they're going to do. GM note, if players directly engage a spirit, here are some ways the spirit may interact with them. Where am I? Get out of my way. Who took my trusty spanner? Have you seen Volkic? He's needed. It's so... And from what I was reading, a lot of the spirits only have snippets of their memories. They don't have they don't have complete memories. They have snippets, some more, some less. But I really like the fact that these spirits are omnipresent and something that you have to encounter all the time. In fact, they have some individual spirits listed here that you're meant to encounter, and it gives you some idea of the way that they're going to react to you when you encounter them. Let me get past all the spirits because there are pages and pages of spirits. Then there's a section on magic items, which is kind of standard, but there's some really interesting stuff in here. There's a long-lasting spirit ward, for instance. It lasts for 1 year. There is Sal's drinking pouch. Leather drinking pouch with a rigid spout. The pouch is sealed with a cork that is attached to the spout of the pouch with a small string to prevent its loss. The pouch is filled with a magical brew that never runs out. You can take a drink of the pouch's magical brew. Any creature that drinks from this pouch becomes immune for 1 hour to any magical effect that would put or force them to sleep.
Wow.
There's the Drink Me potion, which I like. This is a small vial with neon green liquid inside. The green liquid seems to slosh around the vial like waves of an ocean. This wave effect is constant and continuous. Then it gives you all of the things that might happen when you drink the Drink Me potion. So, and we're only to page 145, so I'm going to have to move on a little bit. Then you come to, there's a section that I probably would not use. This is the different Zephyrs, the small machine-like things that actually cruise around the sky, the quasi-steampunky things.
They're kind of like, they're like balloons with stuff hanging down, and like ships hanging underneath them, basically.
And they're run, and I haven't spent a lot of time actually reading into this, but I believe that they are powered by magic.
Oh, okay.
But you need certain gemstones to do certain things. But there are a load of those in here. No end of those if you would want to include those in your campaign to be, service shuttles that go back and forth to the Wandering Tavern, that kind of thing. A lot of those in here. A lot of interesting detail on those. But we're going to go past those. And then you get into the Wandering Tavern itself, which has all of its statistics. Creature capacity, 1,080 passengers.
Wow.
Total cargo capacity, 206 tons. Hit points, 654. Power gem requirements, 1 Triacon gem. It has its base speed. It has a 45-degree turn. It takes points to adjust its altitude. And then it has a travel pace, 9 miles per hour, 72 miles a day. And then it goes into a lot of details on all the things you need there. And if you really wanted to, you could end up you could really do a deep dive into the creation of these Zephyrs and these flying machines, because it gives you the option to create your own. And so it gives you what you need to go out and find or purchase in order to create a Zephyr of your own, but you have a lot of options for that creation. What the propulsion is, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Defense, offense, etc. Then at the very end, there's kind of a fun thing here. There is an art journey, and it shows the evolution of the art, which is really good.
Yeah.
It gives you it shows you the evolution of the art, but also some of the founding concepts for the art, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And these are a lot of fun.
It's a cool inclusion.
It is. I always like seeing these to see how the artist got from beginning to end on some of the artwork. But that kind of takes you into the end of the Wandering Tavern. Now again, it's not something that I would drop into my campaign lock, stock, and barrel, but boy, I would sure use an awful lot of this, because I could put my characters into this, and you could keep them busy for months of play with all the amount of detail that they've got involved in this. And that, combined with some of the cool extra touches like, the food and the spirits that are always there, there are just elements in this that make it stand out from your standard role-playing game location.
Well, and that's what I think is cool. I mean, I would say, in particular, guilty of, I pigeonhole a lot of D&D experience into like high fantasy, which is what is the most appealing to me. And that's not gonna be the case for everybody. But I like Lord of the Rings, mountains, forests. You're doing big stuff with magic, and it's very serious and deadly and. But I like that there are people making things that aren't. They're inspired by other stuff.
Yes.
Like this, I can't remember if they said it when they were initially contacting us or if it says it in here, but a lot of the inspiration for this is from Studio Ghibli movies, which are, I don't know if you've watched them, they're really, really cool. They're these long animated movies, I think made almost entirely in Japan, that are these really beautiful fantasy stories that are a lot like nicer fantasy than some of the stuff that they're less violent. They're just telling these stories about spirits doing things. Movies like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle. I'm seeing a lot of that kind of stuff in here. And having those sorts of stories incorporated into a D&D setting, I think is really cool. Because it's just going to, at the end of the day, it's going to invite more people to want to play the game because they might like some of these other things that'll make it more appealing to them. And I think it's just cool to see that creative outlet. And I love steampunk stuff. So the more of that is incorporated into these things, I love that as well.
Yeah, and I think that just on its own, just standing on its own, it's such a creative endeavor that I like it just from that standpoint alone. But I got to tell you, it got me to thinking, how could I end up putting this into my campaign, which is what you described, high fantasy, blah, blah, blah. There are some things that I would have to change, but anybody who has done this for any length of time, anybody who's run a game for any length of time would have no problem taking this and making it fit the vibe and the feel of their high fantasy campaign.
Absolutely.
So anyway, we just wanted to bring this to your attention. We'll put a link to Homey and the Dude in the description of this video. And go and take a look and see what you guys think. I don't remember exactly what the cost is for this. It's been a while since but we'll have that all in the description of the video. Yeah. But definitely go take a look. If this is something that you think might work in your campaign, we recommend it. It's a pretty cool setting.
It's neat stuff. Yeah, go check it out. And thank you to Homey and the Dude for sharing this with us. It's been a cool thing to get to take a look through.
Yeah, and thanks to Tom for being patient with us because we told him that we would really like to look into this at some point several months ago. And he's just said, whenever you get the time, it would be a fun thing for us to have on your channel. So, and we're glad to have it on the channel.
Very much so.
Other than that, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do so.
What are you doing?
Yeah, come on, you're missing out. And if you don't want to sign up for the newsletter, you can go and download it from our website, oldwarlockgames.com. You can download it, all of the previous newsletters from our website. But we've got well over 100 people now who have signed up for the newsletter.
Thank you if you have.
And it's going up just about every week.
Yeah.
A lot of just fun stuff in there about what we do, what we find interesting. It comes out just a couple times a year. It's free. It's just a PDF that we'll email to you. So there you go. If you
would like to have something that you have created advertised in the Sword Arm, our newsletter, let us know. The rates are really, really good.
Yep, they are. They're so good. They're so good that
we'll just do it.
And we do, and occasionally we do have some people who send us things. In fact, the most recent edition, we had somebody who sent us his version of the Deck of Many Things, which was awesome. And we had a big chunk of that in our most recent newsletter. We'll have another chunk of that in the next newsletter because there was so much information. But so it's not just us that's putting stuff in there. There's some really creative folks out in the world who are helping us out with that.
Yeah.
We have our Expedition to the Forest of Moon Kickstarter, which will be hopefully starting up
later this year.
By the end of the year. We've got some really neat stuff on there. The design concepts for the book that we're creating. This is actually a hardback book.
Yeah.
We've got some of the design concepts for that down pat, and we're really starting to roll in the development of it. So look out for that.
For you to see.
If you get the chance, go to the pre-launch and sign up for the pre-launch of Expedition to the Forest of Moon. Yes, through the information in the description down below, because that will help us to be reaching more people when we actually launch the campaign.
Indeed.
Our buddy Robby has got his pre-launch set up for his game Enclave, which is a great role-playing game, diceless role-playing game, which is it's all focused on role-playing. A lot of fun. We play it whenever we get the chance with Robby, and so he's got that started up in his pre-launch setting right now. Go take a look at that, and I think that's about all I've got.
Like that's it. Subscribe to the channel, like it, the video that you're watching, if you could, please.
And aside from that, Homey and the Dude, the Wandering Tavern. Go check it out.
It's really cool stuff.
I'm Jim.
No, I'm Alex.
Keep your sword on free.
Bye-bye.